Wow, so this is my first time making one of these reviews in a very, very long time. I'm not really sure why I stopped. I I think these were really good for me to be doing, especially on a more regular basis, but also just, that level of accountability and transparency is also so incredibly helpful. Um, I don't know. I guess I just got caught up with school, and then so much has happened in the past, since my last video, I think, which was in November. So it's really been crazy, um, and I had no idea I would end up where I am now. But I guess that now I'm here and I kind of have more time. I'm also feeling that with my trading, it is stagnating a bit. It's felt a little it's kind of felt like I've settled a bit with my edge and with my system, and that's good. Trading, I mean, that's ultimately the goal. You don't want to be, just freaking out and going crazy every day. But I do think I want something else that provides that extra level of heat and pressure to my day-to-day studies and trading, because I feel like I'm probably getting more casual than I should. Um, but wow, all right. I think just I do want to take time to just reflect on everything in the past 7, 8 months. I mean, I remember the last time I was making videos, I was really in a rut. I was doing a lot more stuff, looking at all these different charts, 5 minute QQQ, 15-minute volume profile, IWM, SPY 15, SPY 30, SPY 1. I was probably drawing 75, 80% more lines. I really had, a whole on approach where there was just so much stuff. I just had a lot of shit on my charts, right? And I was taking a lot of trades, and I was losing pretty regularly. Um, I I was not finding the success that I wanted, even though I had set some goals in hopes of being able to do so at that point in time. But it wasn't really until I made some very serious changes through some dramatic realizations of like, look, dude, whatever I'm doing, however I'm thinking about the market, it's wrong, right? It's not actually uh, a legitimate method to trade. So I had to make a lot of changes. I had to really come to terms with myself and change my mindset. I mean, it's not that I'm better now or I'm worse now. I think different now. Back then, just taking more than just like taking more than 5 or 6 trades in a day was pretty regular. And now I really joined this sort of one trade a day my mentality, and it did wonders for my trading. It's really true. Like, it absolutely will change your life. It'll change how you think about trading, about putting on risk, about how you enter and exit the market. Um, so I think for me, my biggest changes since then were one, the reduction of trades. Um, and with that, when your trades are reduced, you pay more attention, you care more. So I did a lot of stuff working on impulsive, forced kind of, let's find out what happens sort of trades. I have my green booklet. I used to write things by hand every day before I would trade, and I think I solved quite a lot of my issues in doing so. Specifically in regards to impulsive rush trades, uh, that's been significantly less of an issue. And I changed my edge. I really just realized that I just want to focus on 2 setups, and now it's quite literally just one setup. Um, and it's been the best trading I've had. I had my first perfect week in May, and since then I've had 2 more perfect weeks. Perfect weeks in the sense that I didn't take any losses. Uh, because back I remember just in October, November, August, it was like I couldn't go 2 trades without taking a loss. 2 green days was impossible, unheard of. Uh, and I've also just so much mental growth in terms of how I was dealing with streaks and the stress of trading and sharing everything and day to day. Like, oh, if I was green, I would get so nervous the next day. Um, and how I overcame that with resetting my expectations, my hopes, my process. Yeah, I would get so anxious about the next trading day, especially if I was green, like just stupid shit like that. Uh, and of course, I'm not where I thought I would be at the beginning of the year. I'm in a very different place physically right now, in terms of where I'm living. So quite a lot has changed in my own life, and with that came some turbulence, especially in my personal life with relationships that are now the format or context of those relationships is very different, as well as work. Like actual, like real, like not that trading. I mean, trading is kind of its own thing, but real jobs that I've been put through. I mean, I'm on my 4th job right now. It's going really, really well though. But I mean, all of that craziness has really changed me a lot, and I'm very happy for it. I think these first like 5 months, 4 months of this year were some of the best of my life. Even though I did feel like I was like banging my head against the wall with trading for some of that period of time. Like say in January, February, April. Those were months where I was very fortunate to have the resources and the time to just pour my life into studying trading, and also get pretty involved with a lot of just life improvement things like eating healthier, maintaining a cleaner and more disciplined schedule in terms of when I would sleep, exercise, drinking water, cold showers, reading more often, and I was really really happy. It felt incredible all the time, and I always had a very supportive I always had a very supportive grounding with a partner, and my own mental approach to all of this. I was able to find that by doing those harder things, it made me feel good, and through that, it was this sort of like it would feed itself, this cycle, right? And I would feel better, and then I would keep doing the right things to make myself feel better, and then I would keep doing the right things. I'm very much a person of habit. So with that, I'm really happy with sort of everything these past 6 months. Um, I developed some habits and things in my life that I thought I never would have, in terms of, I ran 13 miles. I've never done that before. And I started swimming very regularly, and I fought for my life to have the place that I'm at now, which I would have never ever imagined. Um, because initially my idea at the beginning of this year was that I would just be moving back in with my parents, um, and I kind of resented that idea. It made me a little depressed, thinking that I really cherish and value my freedom and my independence. So to me, having my own place now is just the dream. It really is the dream. And it came from, I mean, like I said, I probably walked into 30, 40 different jobs. I had interviews flaked on me dozens of times. No, not dozens, but like 6, 7, 8 times. Um, and I had 2 terrible experiences at 2 different jobs, like absolutely awful. Um, Oh my gosh, the especially that second job, which I've just left, was a nightmare. These sorts of works, these sorts of jobs, they really, they don't need you per se. You're a minimum wage worker. You're not really worth much, and they make you feel like absolute shit. It's very defeating. It's soul crushing. Soul crushing is absolutely how it's described. I mean, the perfect way to describe it. It really makes you feel like you're just worthless. You go in there and you're just getting screamed at over all these menial tasks, and it's very brain dead work. And these people find a way to just push you and make you very uncomfortable and just miserable. Yeah. And fortunately, I'm at a new place now. It's been about a week and a half, and I really enjoy it. Uh, so I've been balancing that now with my own life and trading, and also just the solitude of, I live on my own now. Um, After having been living with someone for several years, I live completely on my own, and there's no real accountability. So that is one thing that I need to work on moving forward. I feel like in my own life, I've always enjoyed being by myself and the independence of that. Of course, a musician, but I was a musician, and with that, you spend a lot of time alone practicing. But I've become so dependent on always having someone around that over these past few years, that now it's a bit of a jarring change. That I can wake up, and if I'm not at work, I can quite literally go the whole day without seeing or speaking to anyone. And it's not exactly the healthiest thing. But I wouldn't say I'm lonely. I'm not really lonely at all, actually. But I do what I do miss is the accountability of having someone there. But ultimately, what that means is that I need to be my own accountability partner, like I used to. I mean, it is to say I have lost quite a bit of my good habits that I've developed, and I was really at a low point with that other job, but I've rebuilt myself quite a bit. Just in the past week, I have rebuilt myself quite a bit. I um, I was actually developing quite some bad habits. Uh, just with those work hours, 6 days a week, getting off at midnight, and you dread it the whole day, and you leave, and you just feel terrible, and you're angry. Yeah, it was really an unpleasant experience, but I think moving forward at this new job, I think my chances of they seem to really like me. I think I have a very good shot of maintaining my position there, and I also just think with my trading, I definitely noticed when I was in that emotional state with my work and with all the life changes. I moved into a new place now and a new sort of life meta. Everything is very different now. Um, and I noticed that definitely had an effect on my trading. It really just does. I mean, the more time I spend trading, the more I realize that it is very much a mental game. Um, so I I need to strive moving forward to preserve my mental fortitude and be aware. I think awareness is just such an important thing of, you know, all right, I'm losing my discipline, I'm losing my focus, and for whatever reason it may be, sometimes you're not going to be able to really control that. There, there can be external things that are out of your control that force you to, not necessarily force you, that, will very likely make you feel a certain way, and the best way to sort of mitigate the harmful effects of that is to, be hands off with your trading, size down, be okay with taking breaks, be comfortable with taking days off. So, yeah, so much has happened. It has been, wow, yeah, 6 months into 2024, halfway mark, and I would definitely say I surpassed a lot of my expectations. I I'm proud of myself for fighting to get this my own place. with all of the work and with the trading and the funds and money that I've saved, and how I was, I had to be pretty smart and frugal with certain things and sacrifice so that I could, settle in here. And it is the dream of what I wanted. I mean, I am spending a lot of money, but I just the feeling of being back home, I would have felt like I was regressing. And I really, really despise that feeling. And also just the lack of freedom. I think like quite literally the most important thing to me in my life is just freedom. And I have that almost to an extreme extent where, the law of diminishing returns, but I do have that here. And I do, moving forward, I fully am committed to setting out on my next goals, which I'll get to, my next, half of the year goals, which I'll get to shortly. But just a general recap is that, yeah, I'm very happy with where my trading is. Going from where I was at the beginning of the year to where I am now, like I could not be happier. I'm really quite proud of myself and of what I've overcome, what I've accomplished. I remember, I mean, geez, like my trading has broken me. I have had well, not multiple, but I have I've really lost my cool and lost my sense of self from trading. Just the stress and the constant expectations that one can put on themselves, especially since for me trading is almost it's a way out. It's a lifesaver. I really don't know what else I'd be doing if it wasn't for trading. So to me, it really feels like this is it for me. And if I can't make this, then there's nothing. So there was always this very high degree of pressure and dependency on trading. I was very dependent on it, and it would feed my ego and destroy my ego. And it's really not a way to live. It's not a way to approach this. And I've grown so much. I did a lot of things in the first 4 or 5 months of this year that I'm so proud of. I grew incredibly as a trader. I remember I shed a tear on my second perfect week. I just would have never imagined as the guy who was, just 8 weeks straight of red back in 2023, losing my ass constantly, into just one trade a day perfectly for 2 weeks straight. And I was really so proud of that. I got very emotional. And I remember having these, not meltdowns, but I would get so upset with my impulsive trades, and I felt so lost and broken. And earlier in the year, and I really overcame that through just building discipline and the right habits in all areas of my life, talking to so many people who inspired me. I mean, maybe some of them are even listening. Like, of course, Eric is just the absolute fucking most incredible. I really don't have words to describe how much he means to me. But I mean, also, of course, like Evanes, Goose, Rocky, Zezix, and people in my own, Anubis was a huge deal for me. And I guess this just goes to highlight the importance of having other traders around you that who are, in a similar place or more experienced or even less experienced, that you guys can bounce ideas off of and learn things about. And with that came so much growth from, Black Mamba and Trophy Hunter. Yeah, I mean, I remember Trophy Hunter, I had like the most eureka moment. I was like, oh my gosh, the right shoulder stop loss. Like I been an idiot this whole time. Holy shit! Like, I've been doing that wrong. And then the Evanes with the one trade a day, that just blew, and Zezix too, and Eric, hammering that down. All of that was like, just eureka moments. These were like moments in my trading that I was banging my head against the wall, writing reviews and just going and losing every day and coming to the market and making the same mistakes. And it was these few sort of bursts of insight and ingenuity that was like, oh shit, okay. And I fixed these things. And then it was Anubis with the retest and myself with that I kind of figure out my own anti-algo stuff. And all of that was just instrumental in me getting to where I am now. And I'm very happy with where I am. I'm very confident. I feel good, And it's very difficult to feel good as a trader. So, yeah, I think in terms of my actual trading, I'm leagues beyond where I thought I'd be. And I felt so lost and so frustrated with everything. Everything felt very menial and useless. But now I couldn't be happier. So I'm very grateful. And in terms of my own life, I mean, I did say the first 4 or 5 months were like that, but the past month and a half, 2 months have been very, very volatile, very stressful, and I can't say that I've handled it the best. I have come out on top. I have come out on top, but the path to get there was really one that was guided by a lot of emotions and anger and frustrations with my job and the kind of work that I was doing and the rejections. So it's been quite a ride. But I'm just so I feel like a new person, really, than I was 6 months ago. And I don't believe I could ever say that at any other point in my life. I've never done these sorts of reviews. I've never done these sorts of, any sort of 2024 goals and commitment sort of things. I've never done anything like that, and it feels rewarding. I can't say that I achieved all of the goals that I wanted to at the halfway point, but I don't think that matters. I've done so much more in terms of other things, as well as, with the things that I was planning to. I would never expect life to pan out, exactly how I planned 6 months ago. I think if that's the case, in my opinion, that's just boring. I always like to keep things exciting and on edge, and I would say that everything has turned out to be a very pleasant surprise for me. So, yeah. And in terms of where I want to be in 6 months, I mean, I do, I mean, just the idea of being fully dependent on day trading to support myself, I mean, it still feels like something that's very far away, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, even GABA, even these guys who are making 7 figures a year still have side jobs. And I don't mind that, but it's the feeling of knowing that, I could get fired and quit my job and I still have enough financial stability, enough security from day trading that I don't have to, stress about that. And that's really what I want trading to give me, is stability. So I think moving forward, I mean, it's kind of a blanket statement, but stability, and in terms of a more objective, like monetary sense, being able to withdraw, a couple $1,000s a month from these accounts, and being able to say, hey, if I get fired, I have rent covered, I have food covered, and also just saving money for things in the future. If I'm going to need to buy a plane ticket next year, so with that. And what else? I think I want to read more. I think even just, when I was reading during that period of time, I did struggle to like even focus. My focus is really not the greatest. And so I want to read more. I want to become educated I want to be more cultured in terms of finance, and be a little bit more literate. Be able to talk with the proper financial jargon, and understand things outside of just the candlestick line drawing day trader perspective, and actually be able to speak about interest rates and a balance sheet and income statements uh, properly. You know, I think that's really important to me. And I did study finance, by myself when I first got into it, and then I realized like, no, day trading is what I really love. But I definitely, even still have an interest in learning finance, and I think now that I have more time on my hands, I have much more time. Um, regardless of the fact that I have a job now, and I mean, before I still had earlier in the year, I still had other commitments that I had to be taken care of, but now that I have my other job, my own job, I, I'm actually more free than I was in the past. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to use that time to study finance. I have my whole, uh, kind of study plan settled out already, so I don't think I need to get into that. But uh, there's just so many resources out there, and I think also just kind of continuing to self-educate, listening to smart people talk, reading more often, kind of developing a more like sophisticated vocabulary, and being able to. I guess I just want to talk better, um, and of course, my physical, health, physical goals. I did set out to run a marathon by the end of the year. That was one goal, but I did run a half marathon like 3 months in. But the issue with that was I really messed up my knee. So even still, it's been 3-4 months, and I still have knee problems. So I need to be careful. But I love swimming. I swim often, and I do want to get into weightlifting. I've been saying that forever. I want to lift. Oh, I want to lift. But I really mean it this time. I really do. I really do, because I feel like it's good. And it tires me out in a way that swimming and running doesn't. Something about lifting heavy stuff really, really gets to me. Um, and what else? I think, yeah, I want to, I'll leave some of my personal stuff out, but I'm I'm proud of myself with where I was, and I don't think I've ever been able to reflect and back on myself and be able to say that as much as I'm able to now, and with as much confidence as I'm able to now, because it's not easy what I've done, and it's certainly not easy what I'm doing, and I'm proud of that. I don't think myself, a few years ago, where most people in general could, endure a lot of this stuff. So, and that includes trading, that includes the work, and also, just things with my personal life, which is not really necessary to get into, but I'm I'm proud. Uh, so let's see where the next 6 months go, and I'm looking forward to it. Uh, I don't know what else there is much to say. I mean, my life, I want very much to be guided by trading, and then finance studies, exercise, work, and I do, hopefully in 3 to 4 months, being able to reduce my hours at work to like only 3 days a week or something. And then I already said extras, but also, hopefully I can hang out with some friends. I do want to meet people. That's a goal. Go out and meet people, because I know no one here. I literally know no one in the city. So, and I may not feel lonely now, but I think after some months, I will need to socialize. I will need to get out and do stuff. That's very important. So I guess getting out and shit. I mean, I want to cook more often because I have such a nice kitchen. I need to take advantage of it and not just be like air frying, tenders, chicken tendies and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, I definitely I want to do that. Um, and I think that pretty much summarizes it. And of course, save money to buy a plane ticket. So that's that. I'm I'm comfortable. I'm happy. And now it's time to continue and keep going. Um, yeah. So let's get into the trading day. So I do another goal. I think I do want to start like live streaming or recording my trading sessions like with my face and everything at some point because that to me kind of in my mind that kind of takes what I'm doing to the next level. It adds another layer of seriousness and pressure. Something that I feel like I'm lacking. Um, and of course, trading more accounts with different firms and different sizes. I mean, all of that, and that's all going to happen, 100%. But anyways, so today started with this channel, pretty clear, drawn from here. This is exactly what I'm saying, and this is the lesson for the day, and lesson I've seen so many other days is that when you get these retests, right, of these lines, you always need a green bar, and then it needs to go. So here's the green bar, right? It needs to go above the green bar. Here we get a green bar, but it doesn't really retest that line at all. And then like this one you could kind of say is like holding it, but it never goes above. I remember I saw this bar, and I was like about to buy. I was so close to buying, and then I was like, oh, wait for it to go above. There's like 12 seconds left in the bar. Because I remember last time there was like 20 seconds left, and I couldn't wait for the bar to close and continue above. And then I was like, just buy. It'll go. And it was the exact same shit as this. So I'm very proud of this, that I avoided this. And we come down here and we retrace and we retest here, which is from right here, right? Right shoulder, blah, blah, blah. And I could have bought here, but I was just playing extra cautious because of this line, retesting as resistance. I did take the breakout. I exited here. This is one of those moments where, that sort of intuition, I did get up like pretty close to the top. And this is one of those moments of like, that intuition of just kind of exiting the trade a little early did save me. So that was the case here. I know there's plenty of times when, say, I'll front run the exit and I'll take it off early and it'll go, way past target. And I'm like, fuck, like, why did I do that? And this is one of those cases where it ended up saving me, and that's just the nature of trading. That's variance, that's probabilities, that's the quote unquote randomness of all of this. So I do want to continue practicing that sort of discretion because it was rejecting that range just terribly. So why wouldn't I exit? And then this trade too, one of the worst trades of 2024, as I said. Only good thing was reduced size. But here's what I'm saying about, we had the green bar holding support, very beautiful, and it was on a lot of volume. And I had just exited my runner. And I had just exited my runner of the last trade. And I immediately entered this. And I haven't done that in so long. It was such an impulsive, like, chased entry. I couldn't believe I'd done it. And, I was thinking to myself, like, oh, it's going, it's a big bar, it's holding support. Boom, just get in early. And the bar was like about to close. I was just wait for it to go above the bar. And if I had waited for it to go above this green bar, I would have never entered. So that was the issue, and my stop was quite wide and boom, just idiotic trade. Shortly after, This was a beautiful trade. We break back in, very high volume. The break back in, retest it as resistance, short right here, and I could have not exited here, but it was stalling there, so I made the same decision that I made here, and right as I exited, big flush. But this mistake will not happen again. And I did take 3 trades. I started watching the market here, so I didn't trade for about 45 minutes. And this is 3 trades in about an hour and a half. An hour 15. It's too much. And it just goes to show, I could have avoided this shit, and instead, this was beautiful. Touch, 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 touch. Absolutely gorgeous. 10 out of 10. Break and retest with air. There we go. And this algo here, the same one that we got earlier, this same yellow one, that also here, rejection, anti-algo, which I'm not taking, but we break, just that perfect quick retest, and I could long right there. That would have also been a gorgeous trade. So yeah. And the lesson here, I also front ran this entry, on the breakout, but look, it always retests. It always retests right here, the channel. So don't forget that. But yeah, I think moving forward, I want to do these more regularly, and I want to see if I can set something up to stream. I think that would be really cool, because not only does it add like another level of professionalism and accountability, it forces me to be accountability, to be more accountable, but it also just gives me something else. Just gives me. I like the idea of talking before my trade, and it forces me to talk, and it forces me to be more engaged rather than sometimes I find myself just kind of brain dead, just sitting there like waiting for something, and it's like, 'cause a lot of trading is just waiting. But yeah, thank